Okay, I made this video before, which actually turned out in pretty poor quality since, well, yeah, the audio was a bit red on everything, the law that I filmed, but we're back with it. So, this is the new BMW 5 Series Touring, a very more practical, sort of family-alized cars. This one being the most economical engine, the 520 diesel series. You can also get a more petrol engine if you would like, and I'm going to review this car in this video because you're watching Egoonz YT, and this is the car review series. So, getting into the front seats, or in the coupe, which you have to pay a bit more if you want either a saloon or a touring, but it's really up to you. So if we just hit on the ignition, not the actual engine. It says welcome. This is my mum's car, by the way. I don't drive, obviously. But here in the front, with the technologies and everything, it's a bit more on the bland side. I mean, it's bigger than it's more high-tech and fresher than the BMW 3 Series, but it's also slower than the Audi A8 or the A6, depending on which one of those you want to buy as well. So you can do loads of things when starting up the interior. So if you go in here to media, you can actually use gesture controls like this. I promise you this is supposed to work, but you can turn up the volume like this and decrease it. And also use gesture controls to do some things. And when you're taking calls, you can go up to either connect or right to disconnect. Those may be optional. And as standard, you get digital dials, which is really good for my thing. The only thing that can kind of annoy me if you watch real closely is like these plastic bit of trims, which I think is kind of unnecessary, really. I mean, why would you need those? It's digital. But anyways, here as well, you have a climate change. You actually have one of those at the rear here as well, which is also really practical. In case your kids get hot or something, they can adjust that themselves. And yeah, there's lots of things to add as well. I don't know what this is all about. Maybe you can add 7 CDs, because there's like a CD switcher inside it. And here as well, you can turn down the fan, really easy to use. And as well, if you want to hide some stuff here, you push this up, this goes back. Obviously that doesn't work right now because we have a cable, then just push it back to lock it in. And here on the sides as well, that isn't really visible right now, but there's loads of adjustment here as well in the seating that you could do. You can also adjust the wheel, really good as well, which comes with more practicalities. You can actually adjust it really far because you have these tiny little T-Rex arms. And also, being a touring, this is also a luxury liner, which comes with way more practicality. In fact, I'm going to show you here on the side. There's a luxury line right there. And so moving on to the back. Hi, Mum. And then, yeah, here on the back, this is really like business class. You have loads of knee room sitting normally, loads of foot rails here and the wells. So this one will be way more easier to fit 2 people in the back rather than the, let's say, Mercedes E-Class, because they actually have not as much knee room and everything. Also here in the middle seats as well, really easy to fold down. And yeah, you got these, you hold your cups and everything. Yeah, way easier to fit more people in the back, except here in the middle, because the transmission, there's a big bump. And the interior design with this white leather also feels really good. So yeah, there's a little bit of cupboard here to hold your water bottles when traveling. And yes, to be honest, traveling with a family in this is really comfortable, even though you're carrying a lot of people, because I actually was traveling with this not too long ago and it was really easy. So yeah, here in the back as well, you can adjust your fans, turn it up and down as usual, turn on the degrees, turn down, there's a fan selector as well. So yeah, pretty easy. There's also these 2 adapter ones that you can use to charge your phone. Now, moving on to the boot of this car, really simple, it's automatic, which comes, of course, operated as standard, because the BMW don't want to be doing things manually. Oops, that's a brush here. Brush out some stuff when carrying your luggage. So we actually got the mat installed in this, but underneath it there's a little bit of a cupboard you can use for some extra room space there. And yeah, so if you're carrying something like, say, this brush and you accidentally scratch it, don't worry, because this is paintwork, so you don't actually damage this here on the side, because this can actually fold really easily, which isn't that great. And there's also this net right here. There's also these things that comes down like a sun banner. We don't have that in the car right now. I had that in the last one, I think, so go and check that one out. Yeah, that's pretty much all I'd say. And as standard, you get the fold downs. really cool. Also, when purchasing this car, let me just close that door real quick, you also get something called a mother key, which is this big key. However, it's not charged right now, but you can use this to kind of just scroll around with positions and everything. And as standard, you get a BMW Test Key to unlock, open the luggage. And of course with a spare key inside. Because every modern car has this. So yeah, but also one thing that can annoy you when purchasing these cars is this plastic trim right here. You may or may not deny, this camera isn't as high definition, but there are some scratches every here and there. One thing you can not deny, however, is the greasy fingerprints it may make. So try and keep it as clean as possible, because if you do this, it shows really well. However, it's time to hit the road. Are you ready? Yeah. And see how it feels like to drive. Understand? Close the door, and you can lock it. My mother has to get in, because she's driving, okay? So I'm gonna... What should we do? Should I do this? Seatbelts on. Yeah, I was going to do that. So, seatbelts, really easy. Put these here, down by the press charge. However, I can only use one hand, since I'm that good. And yeah. So, moving on to the road, which we will be hitting soon. We actually film these at places where I usually don't tell, because, well, I have some people watching, may few, may more. For an example, my cross video only had like 3-5 views or something like that, while the FNAF videos gets 400 views. Like, what is... I don't want to be like that. What's wrong with people with this generational comparison? Some things are more, some things are less, depending how massive they are. But also here in the front, there's also a lot of thigh support, since this thing, if you press this one, can go out. Let's say you have really big thighs that stretches out, you can actually have loads of support. Or if you don't want as much, you could also keep them flat, which is really easy adjustments. So it isn't as difficult as maybe in like an old Volvo V70, maybe previous generation or something like that. It's pretty standard, pretty simple. Moving on to driving, it doesn't feel too harsh either. So this car is running on 20-inch alloy wheels, which is standard. However, what you can do then is you can upgrade it to the 22-inch alloy ones, which is pretty much just feels the same. However, it can add a bit of tire noise. I mean, the engine doesn't sound too much at all. It really isn't too much in it. But so we also have the standard suspension on this car, meaning we have air suspension for the rear and flat blenders for the front. However, what you can do then to make even more cruisive, or just more simpler feeling its car smoother and lighter when driving, is you can upgrade to adaptive dampers, which usually, if you have those upgraded, comes with a mode selector right here on the side. So what you could do then is that you could press on to your adaptive like this, and then press the car into comfort mode, which is the standard mode selector. And then we'll slacken off the suspension, making it feel like like you're on some cloud, maybe I want to say. Moving on to economy, well, this engine is supposed to be doing. However, I know I have a lot of Americans watching, so we're here in Sweden, which we don't do the same. What you can do then is that you can go to your car, and you could go to iDrive, I think. No, it's in this. As in this. And then what you can do then is that when you have the indicates, it is this. No, it's not this one. It's this one. So we have liters per 100 kilometers. We're just going to change that for miles per gallon for now. So this car is supposed to be doing 50 miles per gallon or 60, and we're getting 42, which actually isn't too bad because, well, 10 miles per gallon is very low. So yeah. This one, it picks up straight, with 90s being the most clutches mode, we should say. Comfort mode being standard. And as you would expect, this is a really comfortable car as well. So moving on to the attractiveness, or the more sportier like, which we will be doing later. So yeah, this is a super relaxing car to drive. You really need anything more than a 2-liter diesel, which actually is the one we would have by now, which is the 520. However, What you get in this is a 2-litre diesel with a straight 4 engine with 190 horsepower and 400 newton meters, which you really don't need anything else. It's good so in the clear. The only problem with this is when you rev it, it can make a bit of a racket. We're going to come into that later. No, not right now, mother. Not right now. And, yeah. So, if you want anything with more performance, you should go for either the straight 6, which is the 530D. That will give you a 3-litre diesel with a straight 6, being a more power and stronger engine. Or if you want the very fat performance model, you can get for the M550D, which will give you a V6 with like 400 horsepower. And yeah, so yeah, this thing has great response. We're gonna floor it now. Keep down here. Yes. So this thing, it gives great response. It isn't too harsh. Okay, you can back off now. So yeah, what do I have to say about that? Well, not so much. Indicatively, you don't need anything as than 2 liters. This thing is fine in both performance and economy. However, if you're on the highway, or if you encounter a twisty road and you just need some more, I don't know, control of the car and whatever, you can actually put the car into sports mode, which will stiffen up the suspension, give you more response on the throttle. However, since we have a multi-clutch gearbox, you could also change the gearbox. As you can see right here, it's indicating that you're in drive. What you could do then to make it a more sporty and fast feeling is that if you push it over to my mom's side, you can then thrush it into sport gearbox. And then if you want to drive manual, you're gonna flick it down and you will go into manual mode. So yeah, that will give you a bit more response if you floor it into S. Can we floor it one more time? It gives you a little bit faster response on the engine, making that extra cool down feeling. Okay, come back off now. So yeah, we'll give you that extra bit, and once you have done that and you want to save some fuel, you can then press it back down here to go into economy mode. Very simple, very easy. You also have your own gestures on here, so in economy, you can have efficient dynamics, which will show you that the engine is on or you're retreating power, which is also here. You can also see your economized wise. So in comfort there we thought that, as you can see, it's very high. Is the economy range wise, and the red being sport. Simple, I guess. Also in sport mode, of course, you also have your sport display. Don't know what that was. Which will then indicate both Newton meters and horsepower. I don't know why this thing pops up. It usually isn't like that. There we go. So that will show you that. And also in the BMW, when you're in sports mode, since it has very great handling control, we're gonna take a corner over here in sports mode from around 45 miles per hour. And since you're in sport mode, it will hold you really clearly as well. So here we come to a big turn around here. So here we go. Whoa! Even in a wet road, the BMW still hooks up pretty decently. Oh, look at that sport display go. So yeah, it is pretty handleable anyway. So what do I think in my suggestion? Should you buy this car straight away? Should you shortlist it? Should you avoid it? Or should you consider it? I think you should shortlist it. This being a touring and everything, it has a more wide shaped body, as you can see. It's a way more bonnetable. And yeah. So if you want a more comfortable, let's say, family trip, perhaps, you should go for this car. If you want a more sporty feelings, go for a bigger BMW. Because this is more sport-like. BMW has kind of been like that. If you want a way more relaxing car and comfort, I don't know, go for a Mercedes E-Class. Is pretty comfortable. If you want to be a bully racer, go for an Audi RS6. Or just a Mustang and anything in general. But that's it for me. Hope you guys liked this video. We're gonna cruise home. Bye bye.